Right, hello, welcome everyone that has decided to tune in this early. I guess we'll do some intros. I didn't get it right this time. We tried to steal my job the last session. So for anyone who is tuning in, I'm Mia. I am your president this year for the Students' Union. Adnan?
Hi everyone, my name is Adnan and I am the Education Officer for the Students' Union this year.
Yeah, so a big welcome to our representation activism fair. Doing things a bit differently this year, but still hopefully we're going to get the right point across and the importance of both within the Students' Union. In terms of representation, basically we know why it's important because students need to see themselves within the higher education space, and they need to see that people like them can make change. And with that representation, of course, we often fail to represent all the groups that we need to. Different representation opportunities within the Students' Union. So, of course, we have our team of full-time officers, the 6 of us. Currently, only me and Adnan are on this meeting with you all. But we're elected in, can serve a maximum of 2 terms, so 2 years, just like normal politics. You have to be elected in by the student body during elections around February, big campaigns. But yeah, we are fully elected in by you. We also have part-time officers, 9 of those who are different, basically underrepresented groups in HE. So we have trans officer, distance learning officer, mature students officer, loads, absolutely loads, but you can find all that out on the website. We have I'd like to think we have a nice tiered offering. So basically, of course, if you don't want to necessarily take a year out like us or graduate and then take on the job and you want to just do stuff alongside your studies, we have networks. So for example, and they're not just around underrepresentation, they're around things that need representation within, I guess, university. So we have wellbeing networks, we have interfaith networks, we have sports, we have loads of different things like that. There are really loads of opportunities to get involved. And those networks will represent students at council, and council is where we make a lot of big decisions. So if myself, Adnan, if someone on the exec team wanted to make a big change to the way that we do things, maybe it's governance, maybe it's something else, we would go through council for that, because ultimately we're accountable to students. So we're not like the rest of the staff team in the SU who work tirelessly to try and make sure that your student experience is as good as possible. Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about activism and I'll go back?
So like Mia said, council, there's tons of networks and there you can join. But as well as that, I just want to very quickly mention as well, there's the opportunity to be a course rep and departmental rep as well. And long story short, a course rep is it's a voluntary role at a school level, and you're there to kind of represent your year, your cohort at a school level in what's known as student staff committees. And you also have departmental rep roles, which are similar but on a slightly bigger scale. But I don't want to go too much into that because you'll get more details about that soon. In terms of activism, I mean, as far as unions go, unions aren't really unions if they're not, don't have activism at the heart of what they do. I think if you look at like the history of the student movement, like activism and politics have kind of defined it, and it's what's come out of. And you can look at the student movement nationally, and there's tons of stuff. But I think in Leicester specifically, there's a lot that has been going on. It's still going on in terms of activism. It ranges really. You get stuff like there was a big campaign, Me Too on Campus, really big, really successful campaign. You have campaigns ranging to divestment campaigns, lobbying the university to divest from companies which are complicit in, the climate crisis, fossil fuels, that sort of thing. And there's several different campaigns for you to get involved with. The officers throughout the day will be talking about what campaigns we're looking to run and how you could potentially get involved with them as well. And I really cannot stress enough the importance of activism within the union. It's really, really important. It defines who we are. And I think without it, we would be really, really lost, I think. So yeah, that's what I say really. I noticed there's a question. Is there a society for Christians, like Scripture Union?
Yeah, we have quite a few actually, but you can find that all on the website underneath opportunities. We have Believers World, we have First Love, we have, I think, just the Christian Union. We have obviously the chaplaincy, so you don't even have to join society. There are a lot of societies, a lot of faith societies on campus. So don't worry about that. What else can we say? I don't want to give too much away for later on.
That's what I mean, yeah. Should we talk about what's to come?
Go on then.
So up next is you.
Oh.
Up next is Mia and Hannah. I think it's Hannah. Yeah, it's Hannah.
Yeah.
So Mia and Hannah are going to be talking about their executive officer campaigns. You'll then have the pleasure to meet Janine, who is our BME officer, or BAME officer rather. And obviously we're now in Black History Month as well, and your Liberation Officer Tony will be talking about the launch of that. Really, he's been working really hard with us and others to get a really good campaign going there. There'll be a couple of taster sessions where I'll be there. So there's one taster session on decolonizing the curriculum, another one on grassroots activism. They'll be repeated in the morning and in the afternoon. So if you can't make one in the morning, you can make the other in the afternoon. So don't worry if you feel like you're missing out. Again, I really recommend it, especially Mullock, who works in the Students' Union. They've got a really, really good grassroots activism workshop. It's really empowering. And I
thought you were bigging up your own one. I thought you were like, yes,
yeah, I can't do that.
Definitely recommend coming to watch me.
Yeah, well, that'd be a bit much, to be honest. And then you have Kieran who's going to be talking about the importance of representation in a bit more depth. And at the end of the afternoon, the end of the morning rather, early afternoon, you'll be meeting Niam, who is our accessibility officer. And throughout the day, we're meeting, the different part-time officers, as well as, just different full-time officers who will be talking about their campaigns as well. So yeah, that's about it really, I guess. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else, Mina. Let me just check.
I mean, I guess I was just going to say, like, today is also the launch of We Are Black History, which is basically a year-long campaign versus just saying Happy Black History Month. So we've got a lot of things coming. We've got videos, we've got artwork by students, which we absolutely love to see. We're trying to make it a little bit more radical every year and it's an important piece. So please do check that out on the website as well. Big part for representation, big part for activism. The activism that's been done for Black students on campus includes, but is not limited to, Adnan's work around the awarding gap and making sure that there's explicit work done for the Black student awarding gap.
I'm sorry, do you want to quickly mention what that is for some people who might not know?
This is your area. You explain it to us. Go on.
Oh, okay, all right, cool. I was just going to say, so the awarding gap is basically like the gap between those who are getting a 2-1 or above and those who aren't. So when Mia mentioned the Black awarding gap, it's the gap between the number of Black students getting a 2-1 or above compared to the number of white students getting a 2-1 or above. Don't ask me for the statistics at Leicester because I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's quite stark.
Yeah, so isn't it 2613? It's basically a ridiculous gap. That is not down to what many may have said, down to a lack of intelligence of Black students, or there was some naturalness to it. No, it's the institutional and structural racism that often will disproportionately affect students of colour. And as we go down the chain, usually it's Black students that end up being, unfortunately, at the bottom of that. But a lot of work's been done. There was stuff around the MITCircs. Tell us about the MITCircs. That's a big win.
Oh yeah, no, that was a big one actually. So I should say this was in large part down to people who came before us in these positions, as well as student activists as well. So the change you will now see with MITCircs is if you're going through trauma as a result of, bigotry, discrimination, against you or your identity, i.e. it could be racial trauma or trauma as a result of, misogynistic violence, so on and so forth, that will count as a mitigating circumstance. As well as that, there was another point and I've completely forgotten. It was a really, really important point around this. So I think if you remember, I completely forgotten. It was very, very important. But I feel like, so basically, trigger warning, by the way, just a brief mention of sexual misconduct. But I believe anyone who has submitted a complaint of that against someone is automatically qualified for MIT-Circs. So that's another change to MIT-Circs that's coming this year as well as a whole host of others that will be coming throughout the year, hopefully. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you for Adnan. I think it's going a bit. I'm just checking if we have any questions. I think it's quite early, so I wouldn't expect any, to be fair.
No. Okay, cool. I'll let you end, Mia, because you're next.
Oh, hey, I'm next doing what? We're trying not to keep you guys too. Gonna make it short and snappy, but
well, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I think we can stop there. But thank you very much, Adnan and Mia. The next session is coming up in just a few minutes' time, so at 10:45, so in about 3 minutes, and Mia will be back talking about their campaigns and how you can get involved, and they'll be joined by Hannah, our sports officer, as well. And that's due to start in, I said, at 10:45.
Cool. Thanks, Ian.
No problem.
Thank you.
See you all soon. Bye.
Come on, say something.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah. I'm your sports officer this year. I'm joined by Mia, who's your SU president this year. She was also sports officer last year, so she's very knowledgeable about sports as well. So over the next half an hour, we're going to take some time and talk you through our manifestos that we put out in February. It's what we was elected on to get our job, and it's what we hope to deliver throughout this year. So I'll just crack on, make a start rattling through my one. So my manifesto has kind of been split into 4 sections. So investing in students, access to sport, celebrating your achievements, and also socially responsible sport. So breaking down each of those sections kind of into more detail. Something I'm really passionate about, because I think we have a lack of it currently at the university, is providing support and networking for sporting career pathways. Loads of students get involved with Team Leicester, intramural, Let's Do Leicester, throughout their time at university. Mainly as a hobby, because obviously you're doing it alongside your studies. But quite a lot of students kind of just feel like they have to leave it there once they've graduated, and that's not the case. Whilst it's a hobby for some, it can be a viable career for others. For examples of that, we have a journalism course. I'd love to provide network opportunities for them to kind of get into sports journalism, or using our physiotherapy and getting local connections with sports teams, things like that. My experience, I trained to be a teacher last year to my PGCE, and they don't offer a PE PGCE here at Leicester. So it's even things like that, like getting sport actually as a career. Love to work with careers closer, to put on a careers fair. Next thing, it's kind of been an ongoing one, access to provision of physiotherapy. Students kind of don't have access to a physiotherapy here. They kind of have to pay for it. It can be quite expensive. So I'd love to be able to provide cheaper or free sessions, because that's not something you want to pay for as a student. Another thing I would love to introduce here on campus is the Duke of Edinburgh Awards scheme. I was completing it myself, and I wanted to come to university and finish it, and I noticed they didn't actually offer it. So loads of our students do things that count for all those sections anyway. And there's this physical, there's the skills, there's the volunteering, and there's the expedition. So if you're a sports student and you're involved with Team Leicester, well, that automatically counts as your physical. If you get involved with committee or do some volunteering outreach in the community in Leicester, that counts. If you do your Leicester Award, that counts as your CV skills. And then all that's really to be left would be to organise an expedition for a group of university students. And then at the end of it, you get a really good award recognised by employers to put on your CV. And then ongoing ones, sports facilities, access and investment. continuing the kind of work that Mia started last year in terms of remodelling gym memberships, and also trying to push for squat rack in the gym, but also like longer term, trying to maybe get a new modern, more facilities on campus. Next one, access to sport. Very passionate about inclusivity in sport, especially disability. I would love to have, it was meant to be last year, obviously the Tokyo 2020, but it's now 2021. I would love to have around campus, we've got loads of TV screens, things like that, halls of residence, they put on events, actually like showcase and put on sporting events like on the TV, have more of a hype around them. Kind of also under that bracket, committee experience, loads of our committee members, it's a voluntary role, so they do it without pay, they give up loads of time, lots of hours every week, and kind of they kind of do it for the satisfaction of doing it, but I recognise the hard work they put in, and I'd love to be able to give them some sort of awards at the end of it to say thank you for your time that you've put in this year. Especially this year, it's been a very stressful start already with having to get sport resuming play with all the restrictions and having to adapt to that, and they've done a great job, so definitely need to be rewarded for their hard work and time. And then the biggest one probably this year at the moment is obviously the return to play full stop. Been working closely with Sport and Active Life, reading NGB guidance, making sure we have all the necessary equipment, adaptations to put it into place, working out how many capacity we can have at each session for each sport, or each sport is different. Had our sports fair on Wednesday, and then we've got to give it a go sessions next week, so that's kind of getting up and running off the ground, and it's great to see some clubs already returning to training. Really pleased to see that. Ongoing, celebrating your achievements. Biggest one for this is the sports scholars. We have 24 sports scholars this year, and I don't think they kind of are as well known around campus. Obviously the sporting achievements inside university kind of get celebrated through sports awards, things like that. But we have some really high profile athletes, and I would love to kind of utilise them, celebrate their success also externally, because they still represent the university when they go to all these international competitions. And then finally, socially responsible sport. So a project, I've been at Leicester, this is my 5th year now, and it ran in my 1st year. It was called Leicester Academy, and it was whereby students could kind of get a coaching qualification for free in return for doing some volunteering in like local primary schools, delivering sports sessions. And unfortunately, it had to be stopped because of funding. But I think that's a really missed opportunity, and I'd love to bring that back. Because one, it helps our students with their development, they get the coaching qualification, but also the community really benefits from that as well, especially because university has so many sports that primary schools don't really offer. Like, for example, I'm a cheerleader, kind of don't really start that sport until you get to university, so it's great to promote the wide variety of sports and widening participation in primary schools. And loads of our team clubs do really good fundraising work for charities. We raise over £10,000 every year. And I'd like to make that a bit more visible. So I'm proposing kind of having visible accumulator throughout the year, so you can see how much money is being raised. It's like a total throughout the year, and it keeps increasing. I'll have that online and a physical one in the SU, just so it's visible. So sports, the good work that sports do can be recognised. Appreciate that's a lot of me talking, and I've kind of rattled through it, but I'd be happy to answer any questions as and when in the chat, if there's anything that's taken your interest, or feel free to message me if you want to get involved with anything. If not, I guess I'll pass it to Mia.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, very conscious that we're doing a lot of talking. So, I mean, if you have any questions, anything sport, anything general, we're here to answer. And we have our email, su-exec@le.ac.uk. Of course, next up after us, we have meeting your BAME officer, Janine. That's something to look forward to. I'm going to try and break it up because I don't want to. I feel like it's a lot to have someone just talk at you. So, president. What is president? What is the role? The most non-committal, non-remitted role you could think of. When we think president, we think it's basically around union development and a little bit of everyone else's remit. That's the best way I can explain it. And anything forward facing. So yeah, so any nice when we get publicity things, if someone has to represent the union, there's just like a range of things going on. So that is my remit in a nutshell. Hannah, you do have a question. How do students get involved with Give It a Go events?
Okay, is that just Give It a Go in general? Okay, so they should all be ready to sign up for on the SU website. So if you just go on to Leicester Students' Union website, what's on, you can filter it specifically for sport. And then it shows you all the days, all the times, all the different clubs are having sessions they're putting on. If you know ideally what sport you're interested in, or if there's a few, you can go directly to their page and see their one specifically. If not, you can just browse the whole Give It a Go sporting calendar. What you'll need to do is you'll need to have your uni login details. So you have to log into the website to book a ticket. They're free to attend, and you can attend as many as you want. But you just have to book the ticket, and it's a time slot because we've had to have like max capacity at each session to comply with COVID guidance. So just see which one has availability, sign up to the time slot, and then just turn up. And it's pretty much as straightforward as that.
Cool. So the important parts. Oh, I feel a bit of feedback. Yeah. So the important parts around that is making sure you sign up before you turn up, and having a look on the website because everything is there. And if not, drop us a message, which plenty of you have been doing already, so that's really helpful. So my manifesto is kind of framed around students on campus, student safety, and oh my gosh, how have I forgotten? Student nightlife. The nightlife bit, as you can imagine, is kind of out the window. But what we can do, if I can get this stuff enforced, it means that when you guys do get out to partying at some point, it'll hopefully be a safer experience. So I'm working a lot on the community element this year, and that's working with the Students' Union at De Montfort and the city to try and make sure that we have some kind of collaborative working to ensure students off campus are safe. So I think a lot of time we work kind of in isolation, but as soon as you're a student in second year, third year, not necessarily living in OB, even in first year for a lot of you, it's kind of like you're on your own. I don't want that to be the case. So these horrible landlords, basically, we want to create some kind of accreditation scheme. So we do have a website that's going live. Basically, you can mark your landlord. I've heard so many horror stories and I'm fed up with it. So it gives you the opportunity to basically tell us how your tenancy is going, what your landlord's like, in the hope of basically ensuring that other students don't have to go through it. If a landlord flags up to us, the idea would be that we'd be able to bring it to the council and get them black marks while they have to sort out their landlord experience with tenants. So that's a really big one. A lot of the city council stuff at the moment is on halt because Leicester Council is still in their emergency COVID phase because we're still in lockdown. So what I thought would be happening now is a bit behind. Excuse me. So around nightlife, it's developing a nightlife steering group, highlight areas for improvement with city nightlife, lobbying the council licensing scheme to introduce a safety-wide safe night out scheme, and a clear process of accountability for city door staff. Because we've also had some really gruesome reports of like bouncers being too aggressive and things like that. I know people assume that if it comes off campus, something to do with us, but we do have that responsibility to students in the city. So that's a big one for me. Hannah, if you could lower your phone, that'd be great. So with housing, we've already spoken about that. But if you have any in between, right now, if you're struggling, if your landlord isn't doing what they need to do, especially during COVID, please do let us know, because there are stuff we can do in between. Economic justice for disabled students. So up until last year, basically the cheapest room and university accommodation with access options would on average cost a disabled student £1,000 more a year than it would for your standard non-accessible room. So that was something we were changing, and there's been a lot of work by Tasha, the previous accessibility officer, on that. So basically, we're trying to move that out into private accommodation as well, because disabled students need economic justice. Very simple. And in light of COVID, we're reviewing transport arrangements to and from campus for students, ensuring that mobility challenges are fully supported by the university, and any amendments made to their transport plan. So of course, at the moment for transport, the capacity is lower, buses are less frequent. So we're just trying to make sure that that kind of we increase that, and we're making sure that students are able to access campus if they need to. Transforming academic life. As you can tell, a lot of you guys, for first year, this will be your first experience of a university timetable, but of course you're going through the Ignite program, so everything's a bit turned upside down, and there's not real consistency within the experience. So some of you will have more online, some of you will have more face-to-face, and we're trying to make sure that any positives that come from that we keep. So in terms of digital accessibility for disabled students, that they were asking for this for years ago, and universities have only now kind of put the money into providing this. We want to make sure that we take all the good parts that and all the learned things from this pandemic and make sure that it becomes standard practice. Transparency and visibility are really important, because a lot of people don't know what the Students' Union is or what they do. They don't know that we're individual to the university. So working a lot around democratization and transparency. So you'll see a lot more stuff go up on the union website to show who we are, what we do, how we're governed, and things like that, so that you as students can remain more accountable. We can be more accountable to you, and you can hold us to account. They're all really big parts of our manifesto this year. So I guess sometimes sounds a bit boring, but ultimately it can only improve the student experience and what we can provide for you. I think we've finished a little bit early. Hannah, is there anything you want to say?
No, I think you've covered it all.
Cool. Well, as per, if you want to get involved, please do drop us a message on any of the I was checking if we have any questions. Just making sure that we're here, it's what we're paid to do. We're accountable to students, we're staff, but we are elected in, which means that we won't get fired unless students want us to, which is an important aspect. So please do come to us, whatever the question, and see you all hopefully on campus at some point.
Thank you very much, Mia and Hannah. That is great. As Mia said, our next session is at 11:15, and it will be an introduction to Janine, our BAME officer. So hopefully to see some of you there. And thanks once again to Hannah and Mia. Thanks everyone for joining us. The next session is an introduction from Janine, who's our BAME officer, and I'll hand it over to Janine.
Hi, I'm the new BAME officer. I'm second year criminology, and my main aims centre around maintaining good mental health and I guess representation of different cultures, because sometimes the main focus can be on more Black people, but I want to do events around Asians, Black and minority ethnic people as well. Should I start with one of my campaign ideas? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
The first event that's going to happen is basically like a competition. So that has 3 categories in it. So poetry, spoken word, and speeches. Yeah. So the main aim of that is to basically broaden non-minority people's perspective and idea of what it's like to be a BAME person by allowing BAME individuals to have like a platform where they can use their voice, and through poetry, speeches, art as well, they can really communicate their experiences and their culture. I also want to make it like a fun event, so not just based on racism. It's to celebrate culture and to be really informative, and also to be interactive during COVID, because isolation keeps us not connected, so that would be really good. I think the ones who have the best ideas would get like a prize, like a certificate. So yeah, that's the main idea for that one.
Maybe looking further ahead, what are the maybe other things that you maybe are thinking about doing or thinking about for future projects?
What's important to me is that BAME students will feel like it's their responsibility to control racism and stuff. So I think it would be really good to have conversations with non-BAME individuals. So talking about ways in which some people make it hard to have a conversation about racism, and yeah, the focus won't just be on speaking to BAME individuals. Does that make sense? A bit.
Does it make sense? And if students want to get involved or want to get in touch with you, how can they do that? What's the best way for students to kind of get in touch with you?
You can email me at my Leicester email, leicester.le, leicester.ac.uk, JMSN122. Yeah, that wasn't very clear, but it'll be in the comments. Yeah.
And thinking about maybe new students coming to campus or returning students, about your experience as being a student, have you got any kind of top tips for students who are just arriving and that you'd give them?
It would be good to attend not all the events, but the SU is holding a lot of events. For example, in October, there's a live 13th virtual party on Netflix. So that would be really good to get involved in those activities.
Cool. And any other kind of little tips that you think, looking back, that you think might be useful for the students to be aware of? I mean, it could be little things, big things. If not, don't worry.
I really can't think of anything. Yeah.
No, that's great. Not a problem. Okay. Any last comments? Any last things that you want to touch on before we finish?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much, Janine. That was great. As Janine said, if you've got any further questions or you want to get in touch with Janine at any point, do get in touch with them via the email. And we'll close then. The next event is on at 11:30, so just under 10 minutes. And Adnan, Tony, our Liberation Officer, will be talking about the events coming up in Black History Month.
Hello, everybody. Hi. Hello, everybody. So, introductions. Hello, my name is Tony, and I am your Liberation Officer. And yeah, my pronouns are he, they. So yeah, I guess I would like to say is welcome everybody, and I'm just really excited to finally launch Black History Month. It's been a long time coming. There's been a lot of moving parts, a lot of people involved, from university staff to students' union to students as well, and it's just been sort of like an amazing process of trying to put everything together. to ensure that we're delivering, say, the best program that we can possibly deliver for students and staff as well, Black students and staff on campus. We've got a lot of really exciting things coming up, and a lot of really exciting events that would hopefully be thought-provoking. We'll start very important conversations, not only in the institution between friends, staff, students, and all these different people within the institution that we think is very important for us to talk about. I think especially because of everything that's going on in the world with the Black Lives Matter movement and the social injustices that Black people have been facing for quite some time. I think now more than ever, we need to sort of platform Black voices and celebrate what Black history is, Black culture, what Black culture is, and what Black excellence is, because we've got loads of talent here on campus. We've got loads of talented Black people who don't necessarily always get their voices heard and their identities platformed because of the nature of how the world is. So I think we were just very excited to be able to put all these things together, to ensure that we're doing our part in terms of not only just put events just for the sake of putting them, but to put things that are representative of the entire Leicester student body and staff body, Black students and Black staff. We think it's very important for us to do this work. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the campaign. So as you've probably seen, we call it We Are Black History because, I won't say because, I'll go for the because afterwards, but we changed sort of the name to We Are Black History. It was coined by Sandra Tete. She was the claim officer 2 years ago. And we just, it was just in the idea and the spirit that we usually, Black history shouldn't be limited to just a month worth of celebrations. It should be a year-long sort of campaign. And we wanted to bring in that community feel and ensure that when we said We Are Black History, we were sort of owning what it is to be Black and owning Black history to ourselves and sharing it with the world, as well as, again, like I said, not being limited to just 1 month. And in the previous years, we used to have themes. Last year was past, present, future. So we took Black history in the lens of we divided it into 3 different time periods. So looking at events of the past, looking into how things are in the present, and then we kind of saw how we would envision Black lives being in the future in a socially justice world built with Black people in mind. And this year we decided to kind of use a different theme. So we call it I2M Leicester. This was initially a Harvard University campaign. It was for students in Harvard who didn't necessarily feel represented, didn't necessarily feel seen, and it was based on their own identity and how their stories and how their experiences were part of the Harvard experience. And we wanted to bring that into the University of Leicester because we know from stats and all these sort of things. So I don't think we should limit ourselves with stats and stuff. But we know that we have a very big population here of Black students and staff on campus, Black students on campus, and we think that it's very important for these stories to be told, as well as historically Black people don't necessarily have that representation or aren't necessarily included within a lot of the histories. And we know from the different things that are happening with the world with the curriculum not being very representative, we're thinking about support services and all these sort of things, that sometimes things aren't necessarily available, which I believe that with the institution, the students union and the university, we've been doing such good work, I'd say, to make sure that the university is truly inclusive for Black students, and that we're not only that we're ensuring that if we're inviting people to come and join us here, that it's not a harmful environment for their identity and they can be themselves and they can see themselves reflected within the curriculum. So there's within the curriculum and other many parts of the university. And we think that it's very important. So again, I say it's all well and good to celebrate Black history and do all these different events and amazing events, I would say. But it's also important that we are not sort of tokenistic and just doing like a tick box exercise, that we should also be doing the work behind just doing the events, that we're ensuring that our curriculum is appropriate, that we're ensuring that there's cultural competency, that we're ensuring that any sort of racism, xenophobia, or any other forms of hate crime and harassment, these are dealt with appropriately, and that students feel safe with the reporting structures, and they feel safe with the university, and they feel safe to bring issues that that are true to them, and that we would be able to take them forward and sort of act upon them. So I think it's very important for, I say not just us, but every single person around the world that is celebrating Black history, to ensure that there's work behind going. So thinking about recruitment practices, thinking about counseling services, thinking about resources that we provide for Black students and staff on campus. So I think those are very important things that should go along with what the celebration in general is. So in light of that, we decided to call it I2M Leicester, just to bring in that sort of thing, that there are Black students on campus, and we can't ignore that fact, and that our voices as well are just as important, and our experiences are just as important, so that Black students and Black staff can come in here and leave the university and feel like, okay, I was here 3, 4, I don't know how many years we were here, and we were able to get something out of it, because I believe like education is all well and good and stuff, but I think a part of being at university is also the experiences that you have with the different moving parts existing in the institution. So yeah, that's why we decided to call it We Are Black History. So I'll try and sort of highlight a couple of things that we have coming up for Black History Month. I was just saying, wait a second with me, because I should have had this the sort of calendar up and ready for me to sort of, I might have it around here. Yeah, here it is. So yeah, obviously today we're launching, it's the launch talk with me. On the 7th, we're going to have a workshop by Inside Out. We've worked with them before, and they're going to do a workshop around the psychological impacts of racial trauma. That's going to be on Wednesday, the 7th of October at 4 p.m. We're going to have a podcast as well, which is going to discuss about building new worlds, and what a world free of structural oppression and violence, and one where violence in Black communities is not sort of normalized, and where education is empowering and liberating experience, because students should feel empowered with what they're learning. And that podcast is going to be on Friday the 9th of October at 6 p.m. and it's going to have amazing people. We're going to have Larissa Kennedy, who's the NUS president. We're going to have Fope Olalai, which she's a writer, activist, and they used to be Black Students Officer for the NUS, as well as Tayo Ogunika. Again, these people are all from the Free Black University, and they're going to talk about their organization, and I think we should really be paying attention to that. And then we're going to have a workshop by someone who may be familiar to all of you, Oge. After she left, she started her organization called Minds of POC, Minds of People of Color, and they've been doing workshops all around the country, and it's been very successful. So we're very proud here from NDSU, IFKS University as well. And it's going to be sort of a guide to supporting Black students' mental health. It's going to be a workshop on the Friday, 16th of October, 6 p.m. And we're going to highlight businesses. There's going to be careers event. There's going to be performance events, and many different events that we're going to have. And yeah, I think, and we're just super excited. We're also going to have a lot of different things that are going to be coming up. So we're going to launch a couple of things as well. Maybe it's in the works, so I won't necessarily say it now. But yeah, if you can, please make sure to check out the many different events that we have planned for the year. And I would urge every single person, if you would like to get involved, we more than welcome to support you in sort of building a campaign and ensuring that it's as representative as possible. We've been working with a lot of different student societies and different students as well to bring different things in. So it's never too late. It's going to be a year-long campaign, so you definitely have time to join in. And we're very excited for everything that we have. So yeah, okay, I've got a question here. I'm going to answer. Will the workshop be on site? The workshop is going to be online. Yeah, because of the nature of, well, the government and all these sort of things and social distancing and 6 people. Majority, all of our events are going to be held online. Majority of them. There's going to be a live painting of a person, sort of thing, body and stuff, by I think Attenborough Arts Center. I'm assuming that's going to be live streamed, but as well. So stay on tune for that. But yeah, all of our events are going to be online. Students get in touch with you if they want to know more. Very easy. Let me write. So you can email me at suequality at, I think that's okay. My personal email, which is my personal work email, which is afm24@le.ac.uk. Or if you want to interact with all of us, you can just email suexec@le.ac.uk, and we'll be able to. That email goes to all of the executive officers, and we can share and we can kind of talk about different things that are happening. But if you want to be involved with Black History particularly, my emails are there. Just please reach out. And yeah, we're just very excited. There's a video coming up soon as well with Black student staff, and I'm really excited for that. It's being edited by a student. Our designs are made by students on campus as well, which we commissioned. So it's been a very involving campaign for Black students and staff this year. So I'm really excited for everything that we've got in place. So yeah, I think all along in general, that's it for me. I know I've spoken quite a bit, and I speak quite a little bit fast sometimes. So again, if you have any questions, please just feel free to email me or email the exec team in general, and we're gonna get something up and nice and cool to put out there for students and staff.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Tony. That was great.
Thank you.
Coming up next in just a couple of minutes' time, we have two taster sessions. First one is decolonizing the curriculum, or you can choose to head across to grassroots activism. And the links to these will be in the announcements at the top. So once again, we're ready for the taster sessions now. The links to join the grassroots activism taster session and the decolonising curriculum taster session can be found in the announcements section of the screen. So just click there and that'll take you through to Blackboard Collaborate, where you'll be able to join the sessions.
Good afternoon and welcome to one of our events here at the Representation and Activism Fair today. This presentation will be all about the student leader's role, how to contact with them and how to run for these positions, and basically what it's all about to be a representative here at the University of Leicester. So my name is Kieran Roberts. I'm a 4th year MPhil student, and I do know a thing or two about representation because I've been a course rep and a department rep for 3 years, a member of the scrutiny committee, and I am the current chair of the Union Council. Just get those up. So what is representation and why is it important? We have a little Padlet link that you should be able to find in the chat, or you can use the QR code on your screen now. So Padlet, if you use Top Hat, it's just like that. You can ask some questions and find out some answers from, well, myself and our skilled team of moderators. Okay. So that should be in the chat. I can't see if it is. Okay. So we'll look at that throughout for any questions, and we'll see if we can have some answers to them. So we'll move on. So representation is all about having students have a voice in discussions and decision making, whether that be in the departments for course reps and department reps, or for underrepresented groups and marginalised groups, and all students really, in terms of the Union Council. And some, as mentioned, some focus on specific things like your department, your course, and some focus on speciality groups, things like sustainability, LGBT, and other such groups. So we've got a quick video about academic representation from Adnan, our education officer. Apologies, seem to be having some sound issues. We're just going to pause briefly to see whether we can get some sound going, because it seems to be a bit of an issue at the moment. So this will pause for just a minute. Okay, that should now actually have sound.
Are you interested in representing students, organising events and campaigns whilst gaining valuable professional skills? A student union rep position might be for you. Student Council is comprised of 15 networks on which students' union reps sit. They cover the different groups and interests within our student population, from being able to represent students of colour, mature students, to focusing on sustainability. There is a network for everyone. Networks form the core of our student democracy at ULSU. In addition to organising within your network, you will also represent students at Student Council, where the networks come together to debate and vote on motions relating to key issues affecting students here at Leicester. Now, what's in it for you? You get to meet and work with like-minded students. You can create long-lasting change for the students you represent. We fully train you, and you will have support whenever you need it. You develop a bunch of professional skills, like communication skills and event management, and your work is fully accredited. So, how do you get involved? 1, you choose your network you're interested in. 2, nominate yourself on the SU website at www.leicesterunion.com/voice/elections. 3, we'll talk you through the rest of the election process and will provide support throughout. 4, if you have any questions, visit www.leicesterunion.com/voice/council or get in touch with us at su-council@le.ac.uk. Good luck.
So now we'll talk briefly about Equality and Liberation Champions. So this is another representative we have who are from your departments. So these people represent marginalised students, which includes BAME groups, disabled groups, women, trans, non-binary and LGBTQ+ students. These officers will run campaigns in their departments, and these ones in the past have included pronoun trainings, events to address the BAME attainment gaps, talks and panels by BAME academics, and many more. So this is another position that you can stand with inside your departments. So Scrutiny Committee. Scrutiny Committee is a bit different because they are non-voting members of council. And they have a separate role, which is to monitor the success and campaigns of the full-time and part-time officers. So essentially what gets put in a manifesto gets weighed up throughout the year to check how it's going, whether everything's on track for completion, and if not, why not? So it also they're also there to monitor the attendance of our other student leaders, so like representatives at council meetings, and overall, we can review and approve changes to bylaws and approve election rules, which is one of the important reasons why they have to remain impartial and can't vote. So how can reps help you? As this quick and handy demonstration shows, course reps work with your academic issues, and that's their entire focus. They can vote in council, but their main aim is ensuring that what's wrong, if there's something wrong with the department, they can help fix it. As you can see, ELCs will work with just discrimination and representation, whereas networks, part-time officers and full-time officers work with campaign ideas in addition to that. Whether you go to a network officer or a network or an officer will depend on the nature of the issue, but all will be able to signpost you in the correct direction. When in doubt and you don't know where to go, speak to an officer, as they often chair a network and will be most able to point you in the right direction. So here you go. There's some brief examples. You want to run a university-wide campaign. You submit the idea to the ideas system on the council on the union website. If it passes, which is, I believe, 30 votes in 2 weeks, then it will be taken to the union council to vote on. And you can contact the network or officer directly, depending on the success. If you've been put in a room that is inaccessible for you for a lecture or an exam as well, as it has happened in the past, an ELC can help you to contact staff. The Accessibility Network can help campaign to make the university ensure that all the rooms are accessible for all students. And the Accessibility Officer can help raise the issue higher if it needed be, because the officers have good connections inside the university and have often have meetings with figures throughout the university. And for the last example, a lecture from a month ago hasn't been uploaded onto Blackboard. You've spoken to the lecturer or staff in the department and it hasn't been resolved. A course rep will be able to address this. That's because of the fact that course reps will have what's called an SSC, or a student staff committee, where every month they sit down, representatives from each year sit down with senior members of staff in the department to express concerns, but also what's going right with a department. And it makes sure that set times can be put on promises made by the department, but obviously it's a two-way street as well, so the department can ask students to find out what they think is wrong. And so it's a good way to have a discussion in the department. So how do I get involved? Standing in an election. This is how all roles come through. And academic reps, well, mostly, academic reps, student council and scrutiny committee are all democratically elected. The nominations are currently open up until the 9th of October. Voting will then take place from the 14th to the 16th of October. So you can look through and see whether there's a position that you'd want to stand in. Becoming an ELC is a little bit different because equality and liberation champions are interviewed and selected. So you have to write an application in about why you'd want to do that, the reasons why you would think you'd make a good ELC, etc., etc. Applications close at 5 p.m. today. That's a tight one, but will reopen later in this term for positions that haven't been filled. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when applications reopen. Why should I be involved then? That's not good. There we go. We've got some testimonial from our past representatives.
I wanted to get involved with the Leicester community and University of Leicester Student Union. I also wanted to help many struggling students, both international such as myself and local students as well. I was able to make a difference at the university, where I was able to participate in voting for children-friendly spaces at the university library and voting for accessible prayer halls at the university. The skill I learned from being a network rep was time management, where I was able to balance between my university work and my student union work. Further, I was able to become a good listener and a good team player.
The chance to voice my colleagues' opinions, especially of those who feel more isolated, such as mature international students, motivated me to be a course rep, as well as to establish a good communication between us, the students, and the staff members, in order to increase the student learning support. As a course rep, I have gained many skills, such as public speaking. I talked the first time in front of 200 people. Negotiation, problem solving, organization, or time management, because as a mature student and a parent, I had to set my priorities and organize my time the best I could.
So another side is skill development, as was briefly mentioned in that video. So communication skills are a good one with negotiating conflict resolution, especially when it comes to council members and in fact all the positions, because no matter what, you're going to be either speaking on behalf of what you believe in or what your cohorts on your course think, or just what people have come to you with concerns about and they want changed. And it also gives you assertiveness, especially when it comes to SSCs, because you're obviously talking to people who are usually teaching you. Presentation skills are another important side of it, data and feedback gathering research, meetings with high-level staff and experience chairing meetings. So, as well as this, you have access to further training. Our student leaders have access to other skill development areas like GDPR, which is the new data protection laws, time management, teamwork, leadership and liberation training. There are a lot more, but there are dozens of training options overall. Workplace safety is another one, so these are all ones that can look very good when you're about to enter the working world. All Educare trainings also come with a certificate and can be used for future job applications. As you see, they're part of Educare. So student leader accreditation and HERE. All student leaders have access to our accreditation program, 3 levels: pass, merit and distinction. Pass involves completing the role, merit and distinction require further training. You can get access to a HERE transcript, which is the Higher Education Achievement Report, which is looked on quite well. This is an additional transcript you will receive upon graduation that covers any extracurriculars you have been involved with. How else can I create change? Well, if you don't run for the position, how can you create change? Because you'll be relying on other people to take forward what you want to be done. But there are a lot of other ways. You don't have to run for a position. So we have the ideas system here at Leicester, which is a voting page on the union website that you can find. There might be a link later. And it just, you can write exactly what you want and put it up there for anyone to vote on it. So if it's a simple operational idea, it can just be put through straight away. If it's a non-controversial campaign, you have to hit the minimum threshold, which is 20 likes within 2 weeks. Then it gets submitted to the networks and put through council that way. If it's a wider event or policy change, you once again have to hit the minimum threshold, but instead of going straight to the relevant network, it's voted upon by council where it can pass or fail. If it passes, it will then proceed to the networks who will help implement it. Getting involved with campaigns. These are some of the campaigns that we've run in the past. We've got Black History Month, the How to Manage Panic Attacks, which was an excellent booklet put out by our former Wellbeing Officer. We have Stand Against Islamophobia, Leicester Pride 2020, which a lot of work went in to make sure it keep going on despite all the difficulty this year. Why is my curriculum white? These are just a few of them we've had in the last year. So vote. Even if you don't want to run for a position yourself, voting is a vital part of shaping the student union and your own experience at university. It might seem obvious, but all of the elections we have an impact on how the SU and the university are run and what will change in the future. And the experience you have, whether it's academic reps or officer positions, they will all affect you and your peers and those yet to come. You should also vote or downvote ideas depending on how you feel about them and have a say if you agree or otherwise. There are loads of ways to find out more. We have our Twitter, Facebook and YouTube page for more videos, including some more testimonial from our course reps. And that looks like we are lined up quite nicely for times. We have time for any questions on the board. I will make sure it is any. Yeah. The ideas system link should be now in the chat, so you can look at current campaigns and ones that will, and then you can look at putting your own ones in. So if we take a look at the Padlet link. We will see whether or not there are any questions. I have no idea what that noise was.
Okay. So, whilst you're doing that, Kieran, maybe a question a little bit away from what we're talking about, but maybe looking back at your experiences as a student, what maybe are some of your top tips for maybe students who are just starting their time at Leicester?
Ooh, that's a good one. And starting at Leicester, it can all be a bit daunting, but some people will want to shy away to themselves, and from what I've experienced throughout university, some people will launch headfirst into literally everything that they can find, all societies, all clubs, all sports, all representation positions, everything, which is good, but you have to learn to know how much you can balance, especially if you would like to continue studying at university with your course. So it's all an important matter of balancing everything at once. So if you are very passionate about sport, you could focus on that. But if you become a representative, if you want to become a representative, that is a position with responsibility, because it's a position that comes with responsibility to your peers and other people on the course who will depend on you for if there's a problem and they want changed, then you're the line of contact, and it's up to you to follow that through. And it's the same with council positions. If you are approached by someone who wants to ask about accessibility and you never get back to them or never do anything with it, it will undermine people's trust in the fact that we have elected representatives. It's very much important when it comes to officer positions as well, because you hold what you put in your manifesto is what you're saying you will do for this university. So putting things that are not achievable but look great on paper is not really on, and we will pick up on that in scrutiny. But the other side is people who join the university and are a bit nervous, or it's a new experience anyway, and they don't go for anything, but they want to change something. And for those people, I would 100% recommend going for a position, as I've seen how much it can get people out of their shell and get them to start talking and have confidence to bring up their views and realise that their views are important, whether that be in their course, talking to their tutors about issues they have, or whether it's in council, bringing up an issue that really concerns you or that you think should be changed. And all of these help with the addition of training and just being able to get your voice out there. So it's always worth it.
Okay. I've got a question from Callum. And how does the election process work? Is it simply the candidates with the most votes? And is it different between different positions?
So all the elected positions, so all positions are elected in terms of officers, academic reps, everything like that. The only ones that aren't, as mentioned, were the ELCs and my role as chair of council, which is also interviewed. The election processes, while they run at different times, they all run through the union website. And yes, you have a period of time when you can stand, and during that period of time you can put your manifesto up. So any position has a manifesto, whether it's a course rep, a department rep, a member of a liberation group in council, any of those all have a manifesto slot. You don't have to put one in, but it is advised because you're running to represent people, so showing what your views are like. But during that period, you upload your manifesto, and then afterwards you do have just a traditional vote where it is first past the post, so the one with the largest amount of votes wins. Any other questions?
No, there's no other questions at the moment. Any closing words, Kieran, just whilst we wait to see if there is any more questions?
Yeah, well, some people don't think that student elections matter because some people think, oh, it's just a small thing in a university. It's not, because reps have the ability to make real changes, and also the same people who say, oh, the elections don't matter, why should I vote, things like that, are the same people who complain about why an issue they don't like hasn't changed. And the reason it hasn't changed is because you need to vote for either vote for somebody who stands for what you believe in, or stand yourself. Things don't get changed by standing around. And yeah, that's basically it, I think. Oh, also vote. We've got terrible time.
Thank you very much, Kieran. We'll leave this session at this point. The next event coming up is at 1:15, and it's an opportunity to meet Neve, our accessibility officer, and they'll talk about some of the things that they'll be doing in the coming weeks and months, and also kind of how you can get in touch with them if you've got any issues surrounding accessibility in terms of the curriculum or your student experience or anything like that. So come back to us at 1:15, and Neve will be here then. Thank you very much, and thank you, Kieran.
Thank you, Ian.
Hi everybody, can you all see me and hear me? I might look a bit disheveled as it was raining this morning, but my name's Neve and I'm currently going into my 3rd year of my law degree, and I'm your accessibility officer. That was voted back in February, I think, so quite a long time ago. But I have a lot to share with you. I'm actually up to a lot now already. Over the summer, I was getting down to creating a podcast, which is now actually live. You can go watch the first episode. It's on Leics Chat, Leics Chat. It's their 2nd season, the All Access podcast, and it's basically around disabled students and accessibility needs. Our first episode was discovering disability and our diagnosis. So I specifically have a learning difficulty and a mobility issue as well. We have just recorded our 2nd episode as well, which is who can be disabled. So we're going through self-identification, legal, medical, all that sort of stuff. So please do tune in. There will be lots more. But that's just my first campaign part that I've done. I've also planning to do some survey and data collection to try and make it better for students who are disabled and have accessibility needs around exam times, especially during these times with COVID and online exams, but also for the future when everything returns back to normal and we go into classes and take physical exams. I also want to cut down on hidden costs. So I don't know if you guys know, but for example, some diagnosis of disabilities, you do need to pay for. It's not under the NHS. Things like having to pay for wheelchairs, having to take, thousands of pounds out just so that you can go about your daily life. I want to get those hidden costs covered by the university so that students have equality in education. I'm also hopefully going to campaign for a Disability History Month, which we will have lots of events coming up, panels and things like that. So that's a lot of the initial things. Going back to the exams with education, I also want to create a little leaflet which will communicate some do's and don'ts when it comes to ableism. I'll just quickly say what ableism is, which is when someone has a disability or impairment and you don't care for it, you are privileged as such. And so I want to create a little leaflet to help people know how to talk to people, how not to have those ableist sayings, bending down someone in a wheelchair and things like that. There is also the network. The network nominations are open, I believe. And last year, I was actually a part of one of the networks. I was with the Creative Network, and it's really great to, especially if you're 1st or 2nd year, to get some experience involved with the student union and the council, have your say heard and make change for students on campus. And also, if you're aspiring to be a part-time officer or a executive officer. That is a great starter as well, because you'll connect with a lot of the current PTOs and executive officers, so you'll get that kind of experience. But yeah, I think that's quite a sweet sort of introduction to me. You can contact me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's just Neve Barnes if you're ever searching it. I also have an email hopefully set up. But yeah, go check out the podcast. Just a quick plug again of that. Yeah, that's all from me. I hope you'll see me around campus and online and see the change that I'm making for students. So yeah, that's me done.
Thanks, Neve. That is great. Just before you go,
yeah,
would you have any top tips for maybe students kind of come to the university for the first time, starting their courses, starting their new experience here at Leicester?
I think I made the stereotypical mistake of being too scared to get involved. I know Freshers has just gone, but it doesn't mean that events and things online are still open. I know happening next week, there's a lot of introductions to societies. So, and if it's online, there's no pressure. You can just go dip your toes in a little bit and explore. I'd definitely sign up for a lot of them next week. Also, talking to people in your course. I think people forget that you can actually talk to people in your class. You don't have to go to societies and things. And also, it'll help with when you have group assignments and things like that, because then you already have friends to talk to. So I think it's just getting a bit out there, keeping on top of what events are available and things like that.
Cool. Oh, thank you very much, Neve. That is fantastic.
No problem.
We'll stop there. The next session that's coming up at around about 1:30 is Carly and Tony. So and our Liberation Officer will talk through